The tactical strategy genre is sacred ground. Plenty of developers have tried their hand at the genre, but few can get out of the shadow of fabled franchises like Fire Emblem, Advance Wars, and Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a wonder that we have seen more growth and into a breach in the last 2 years. Two incredible games with not two tactics games of the past, but with their own unique flavor. Those classic franchises are so hard to overcome for two reasons. The first is that those tinted glasses prevent a lot of fans from remembering the issues those games had. And the second is that those issues are difficult for designers to overcome. Fae Tactics, a grid-based strategy game by NDLASSFLUFF Games duo Caroline Moyer and Kieran Ramsey, is trying to buck this trend by combining the best elements from the Japanese games that inspired them. Their intention is to match features from Final Fantasy Tactics, Fire Emblem, and Advance Wars while addressing their issues as well. Everything in the strategy format has pros and cons in how it's presented. One of the main ways we wanted to approach the genre was through meaningless, seamless gameplay, Ramsey said. When you play Final Fantasy Tactics, the combat animations are satisfying but not too long. The ones in Fire Emblem take so long that you end up turning them off. Fire Emblem is very simple though. All the info is conveyed by the unit's type and where they are on the map, he added. But in Tactics you have to scroll through a series of menus to get all that info. Our approach is a combination of both. That mentality is at the core of Fae Tactics, creating a Final Fantasy Tactics-like experience without the menu surfing. The lengthy Fire Emblem-esque battle sequences, it's something quiet and meditative, is the strongest part of Fae Tactics, as it helps the entire game be smoother and more approachable. Everything from the uniquely designed character models and animations to the deep combat is all clear from a glance. Interactions are real within a few clicks, Moore said. It's very easy to get into. In order for the menu-free system to work, Ramsey and Moore needed to create a way for players to easily digest all the required info without cutting to any other screens. Status ailments on the buttons, character and attack types, height and environmental effects all had to be discernible without causing confusion. Figuring out how to display certain bits of information was challenging at the beginning, Moore said. At first we had a little ticker go by on the bottom of the screen, like a CNN, that taught people how to do certain things. We eventually changed that to small icons near the character's profile image. While icons can be useful, too many of them can clog up a screen, turning it into a cluttered mess. Instead, Ramsey and Moore created environments and characters with a wide set of animations and detail so their actions and appearances convey enough information on their own. Environments are three-dimensional, with varying types of terrain and elevation that units visibly interact with. Character designs clearly depict a unit's type and abilities. It's clear when a unit is standing in water, when they are at a height disadvantage, or when they are about to turn invisible. The issue came when trying to display all the intricacies of combat. It's as well. The part of the manual system is that all your commands are context-based, Ramsey said. It's like the positioning in Final Fantasy Tactics. A sword wielder with the high ground is not intimidating. It's intimidating if he has about. The main challenge was having the player remember all that context. When it gets more complicated, Ramsey and Moore did a few things to make Fae Tactics complexity easier to digest and retain. There is a mixture of both little units, similar to Wargrove's main characters, and summon units, and Pokemon-like units that are more akin to the disposable troops you find in Advance Wars. Some units originated from a deck-building concept. Ramsey said, "We started out with the idea that you debuild your team with a deck of cards. But after a bunch of testing, we realized there was too much randomness tied to that. While there is a variety of unit types, Fae Tactics limits a team to only 6 for each battle with 3 leader units and 3 summoned units. Summoned units, like every other element of the game, are collected during battle for use in the next mission. One part of limiting the number of units per team is that the choice of units you bring is a lot more meaningful. If you had the ability to bring more than you could build a super team that deep could deal with anything. The way this works is you can see what's on the field and adjust accordingly. Although Fae Tactics has more than 40 unique units, multiple main characters, 8 different elemental types, and other combat mechanics, Maya and Ramsey took steps to make each one distinguishable on the battlefield. Every unit is the same base model, instead of having classes, although every unit is different. Ramsey said, each summoning unit has a completely unique model with its appearance and attack animations. Our player units are especially unique, since they are things like a young dog, a girl, and a bird. It's more approachable. Moya added, it's not like having a soldier, cleric, or wizard. Many of these choices were made with the menu-free gameplay in mind, and Ramsey and Moya wanted deep gameplay that was not intimidating. Although the game does not come out until later in 2019, the systems they have built already make tactical strategy easier to understand. For example, only one status ailment can be used at a time, so adding a buff to one of your units will automatically remove a poison effect. There is a trade-off for everything, Ramsey said. But we'll have put enough effort in to make the consequences of those trade-offs less drastic. Fae Tactics shows striking visual design, which makes sense, as Ramsey and Moya are very visual artists. Designing beautiful cutaway animations and other elements can be a real joy, but they are not useful to the game without proper implementation. We are artists first. We came into game design as artists, Moya said. We love artwork and animations, but we are always focused on gameplay first. We want to get to the action first, before we get to the flair. Epic Games is opting to let developers decide which platform features they do like to use on their listings on the Epic Games Store, rather than having everything required for all games across the board. It's the same approach company leadership has already said it's taking toward game reviews on the Epic Games Store. According to tweets from Epic's Sergey Galyankin, developers will be able to opt into almost all future subsystems on the Epic Games Store, such as achievements, unlocks, and even support tickets. For developers, this means they will have an added level of control over what platform-specific resources their players will have access to through this particular channel. For example, Galyankin says that the system ideally lets smaller devs use the Epic Store's support ticket system, while larger studios with their own support departments can just link to their own services instead. As with the review story from last week, looks of more opt-in features on the Epic Games Store have been met with mixed reactions on social media. For the most part, those against the system view it as Epic Games pushing the burden of community and support features to other platforms, as compared to the more centralized, all-in-one store pages featured on Steam. But as Galyankin says later on in that same Twitter thread, the Epic Games Store is not trying to imitate Steam, But on a broader topic, Epic is not a better theme, says Gary Ankin. It's built on different principles, and while it will have some of Steam's features, it does not aim to mimic it. Newsbrief: Niantic has officially closed the rounding of funding that leaves the developer $190 million richer. This comes after rumors circulated last month that Niantic was working to add a $200 million investment from the likes of Axiomatic Gaming and Samsung. At the time, an unnamed source speaking to the Wall Street Journal said the investment would land Niantic a $3.9 billion valuation. The SEC document detailing the investment, however, makes no mention of the investors behind this $190 million funding round. But does note that 26 investors contributed to the sum in some manner. With this latest round closed, Niantic's lifetime fund raised has now surpassed $515 million.